flight has gone down. This is an emergency.
Survive together or die alone. We're getting off this island.
Thank you so much, Daniela. As you can see, I'm ready to board this plane. And I can tell you this, at a certain point of this movie, I was hearing a very strong heartbeat and I thought it was me, but it was the movie that had that heartbeat as part of the background. And then I realized that it was also me having that same heartbeat. How thrilling could this movie get?
Oh, yeah. As you know, this movie does not stop. I have to stop and acknowledge your incredible outfit. Thank you for putting that on. That's the kind of enthusiasm that we need. This movie, it doesn't give you a second to breathe. It doesn't give you a second to think. And the way that it's written, half of it is on a plane, the other half is on an island, and it almost keeps your attention in it because the movie changes. It's refreshing, it's different, it's new, it's fresh throughout. And by the time you're done, you're like, oh, I got my money's worth.
Well, growing up in the 80s, I mean, I remember movies, like a lot of airplane movies, and I remember watching the old movies from the 70s, and I even was a big fan of Lost. But yes. Can you tell the audience how different is this movie and what can we expect from Flight 119?
If you have a fear of flying, you're going to love this movie.
Yes.
I will say that the thing that is so interesting about this movie and what does kind of set it apart, I think, from more contemporary action films, because it has that old school 90s vibe, it's because Jerry's character, Brody Torrance, Brody is a regular man. He's a regular man who's just trying to get to his daughter on New Year's Eve, and he just wants to get from point A to point B. And that's not what happens. And much like, those like old Harrison Ford movies, it's like, how does the underdog, the guy who's not supposed to rise to the occasion, how is he going to get to the other side? And it's an action film that is so grounded in reality. It was really important for Jerry and Jean-Francois and the team that we try to be as grounded as possible.
Perfect. Now, you've been in a few blockbuster movies with lots of action. And this movie, you play Bonnie, chief flight attendant. But How do you prepare for this role, besides giving us the feature, like the safety features, like the exits are in the front?
Yeah.
Did Gerald Butler give you a few pointers on how to do action?
Well, not on being a flight attendant. Jerry was captain. Oh my gosh, it was actually incredible to watch him. He wanted to get everything right. So when you see him like pressing buttons up ahead and moving things, every single button that he presses is intentional. He's not just diddling around. There was like a captain right behind him who was telling me like, press this. So he's like, that's all real. So I will say he led by example and not just being a really damn good actor. I spoke to a lot of flight attendants about what it's like to do their job and what do you do in the case of an emergency landing. And, I found in my interviews talking to flight attendants that they are, first of all, it's a thankless job. They are responsible for so much. And oftentimes when it comes to basic protocols, they're more knowledgeable than the captains. Even on a tiny flight, they're risking their life. So I wanted to do a little research, but a lot of the times you're not going to know until you're there and you're in the costume and you're, in the plane. We shot on a gimbal. This first chunk of a plane was on this gimbal and it was moving like crazy and it was dropping and I came out of this movie just having a whole new respect for what they do.
Well, I love Bunny. I mean, because she's a very strong woman. She has a lot of integrity. She's always looking for the safety of the passengers.
Yeah.
But there's a scene where you hug the captain, you hug Captain Torrance, and you start crying. And at that moment, I saw that this character was more human than anybody else.
Oh, thank you so much. You know what? That to me was the scariest moment for me in the whole scene. Because when I read that in the script, I was like, oh my God, it's the button of the movie. It's the end of the movie. I have to bring it. So I was like terrified. But I'm so happy that it turned out well. I was so scared. I was more scared to do that than anything else in the film. So thank you.
Well, you guys filmed in Puerto Rico, and how challenging it was just to shoot like with the weather. I don't know if it was like super muggy. Was it was it raining?
Oh, it was hot. It was I would thank Jesus when it rained. It was so hot. Well, part of the reason why it was so hot, one, it was in the summer and Puerto Rico's hot, but we were shooting on a tarmac. So the heat was coming off the ground on top of the heat everywhere else. So it was challenging. I mean, it was no joke. And, and then we were so thankful to shoot on the gimbal, which was like inside of an auditorium because it was air conditioned. But then you get on the gimbal and the gimbal's moving like crazy. People are getting nauseous and really helped for the movie. But yeah, the elements were real.
Perfect. Well, personally, I didn't have a chance to watch this movie in a big screen. I got the screener at home, but I was doing some research, and I believe you're a strong believer that this kind of movie is meant to be seen in a big screen.
Absolutely right. It's what I grew up doing. I grew up going to the movie theaters. It's not something I want to go away. I'm an AMC Stubs member. I think it is important for everyone to support their local movie theaters, and also because it's fun.
There's nothing better than the movie experience right there.
100%.
Well, one last question before I let you go. And this is an easy question.
Okay.
What's the worst experience you had on a flight? And let's not count the airplane food.
I'm going to tell you right now, after I shot the movie, funny enough, after I shot Plane, I had a flight. I was flying to DC. I was going to give a speech on climate, importance of bipartisanship for climate. So I was going for a good cause. And I saw that we were going to land in a thunderstorm. And I thought, why are they having us land in a thunderstorm? It was so scary. We were coming down. We were about to hit the tarmac or whatever. And then they said, we can't land. The weather's too violent. So then we took off again into the thunderstorm. And on our ascent, the plane dropped. I have never been in a plane that dropped before in my life. I found out that I'm not a screamer. Other people screamed. I wasn't. I was holding the hands of two grown men on either side of me. And I hooked my legs under the seat in front of me. It's like my body naturally knew to hook my legs to keep from going up.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It was and I fly all the time. I've been all around the world. I've done it all. I've never had a flight like that before.
Wow. Well, I appreciate your time. It's been a pleasure talking to you. The movie comes out on January 13th. Tickets are on sale. And don't forget to fly Trailblazer Airlines. They're going to be fun.
Thank you, Enrique.
Listen carefully. This is an emergency. I'm Captain Brody Torrance. I like this guy.